Also, it increases the stability of the froth. Give the IUPAC name of exact question. I had solved it for you all in the class. So which do you think will be more stable? Okay, so here in this particular, how many stereoisomers are possible? Stereoisomers include geometrical isomerism as well as optical isomerism. Okay, so it is 2 plus 1, 3 isomers are possible. SN1 mechanism in your classes. So if you know that, you can directly choose the correct answer. Again, elimination is happening. Again, I'll get the same product. So I don't want the same product here. So this is the wrong answer. We have the next question, that is during adsorption of gases on solid. We know adsorption process, delta G, it has to be negative, delta H, that is exothermic, it's negative, entropy decreases, so it is negative. So all the three has to be negative, so our option will be all the three less than 0, that is option D. We had solved similar problem in my class previously, so it's almost the same question which has come. Next is question number 22. Copper is extracted from copper pyrites by auto reduction. Okay, this is just the fact. You have studied this particular extraction in your syllabus. If you still want me to write the equation, here you go. Cu2s, copper pyrites, so it is Cu2s plus oxygen giving Cu2O plus sulfur dioxide gas, and Cu2O with more Cu2s, copper is formed and sulfur dioxide gas is liberated. I shall just balance the equation. It is 2, 3 and 2, 2, and we have one more 2 here, so here it is 6. There you go. Okay, here you have 2 and here you have 6, and now it's balanced, and there you go. This is the equation for extraction of copper in which auto reduction is taking place. Okay, next question, 23rd, function of potassium ethyl xanthate in froth flotation process. In froth flotation process, what is the function of potassium ethyl xanthate is the question. It's hydrophobic, hydrophilic, heavier and lighter. Of course, it's not heavier and lighter, so it should be hydrophobic or hydrophilic. First of all, what is the function of potassium ethyl xanthate? It acts as collector. What do you mean by collectors? They increase the non-wettability of the ore, or it goes and binds to the polar group of the ore particle. Okay, that's why it goes and attaches to the polar group, hence it is hydrophobic. Also, it increases the stability of the froth, and it increases the binding force between the ore and the air bubble in the froth. Okay, so that is about potassium ethyl xanthate. It's hydrophobic. It makes the ore hydrophobic. Okay, next, 24th question. Sulfide ore on roasting gives a gas X. X reacts with chlorine in the presence of activated charcoal to give Y. See, sulfide ore on roasting, the gas which is given is sulfur dioxide. Okay, now the sulfur dioxide gas, when it reacts with chlorine, it forms SO2Cl2, sulfuryl chloride. So the answer is option D. Okay, next one. An aqueous solution of salt A forms a dense white precipitate with barium chloride solution. The precipitate dissolves in dilute HCl to produce a gas B, which decolorizes acidified KMnO4 solution. So what is A and B? Let's look into the options here. We have, for the A, we have barium sulfate and barium sulfite options. You can see all the 4 options. First 2 you have barium sulfate, then you have barium sulfite, again barium sulfate, again barium sulfite. So option A should be barium sulfate or sulfite. We'll just read the question here. Aqueous solution of salt forms a dense white precipitate with barium chloride. The precipitate dissolves in dilute HCl. In your lab, when you're doing the estimation of third group acid radical, if it is sulfate, what happens? The precipitate will not dissolve, or it is insoluble in dilute HCl. It is soluble in hot dilute HCl, but they have not mentioned hot or cold here. They have just told it is soluble. So which are the salts which are soluble? Sulfite salts are the ones which are soluble. So our answer here is barium sulfite. So it should be option B or D. Okay. Now the gas which produces decolorizes acidified KMnO4. H2S decolorizes or sulfur dioxide? Of course it's sulfur dioxide which decolorizes KMnO4. So it's option D is the correct answer. Okay. Next one, bond angle in pH4 is more than pH3. This is because both pH3 and pH4 have sp3 hybridized orbitals. Then what is the difference which is changing the bond angle? It should be lone pair and bond pair which changes the bond angle. So we'll see which has lone pair. pH3 has lone pair, but pH4 plus does not have lone pair. So we'll see which is the correct option. pH4 has square planar structure. pH3 has planar trigonal structure. Hybridization of phosphorus changes when pH3 is converted to pH4. It does not change actually. Lone pair, bond pair repulsion exists in pH3. This is why it gets a pyramidal structure even if it is sp3 hybridization, because in pH3 there is a lone pair of electron. So this is the structure. You have pH3 with a lone pair of electron, and because of the repulsion, the bond angle, there is a change. Okay, so I hope you have understood this 26th question. Next, 27th, incorrectly matched pair. This is again what you have studied in your P block elements. You have studied the structures as well. XeF4 is tetrahedral, XeOF4 is square pyramidal, XeF6 is distorted octahedral, XeO3 is pyramidal. So which is the wrong match is the question. Of course XeF4 is not tetrahedral structure, it is square planar structure. You have XeF4 and you have 2 lone pair of electron. This is a square planar structure. So the answer is option A. The rest it's all right. So the next question is phosphorus pentachloride on hydrolysis give oxo acids of phosphorus, which is good reducing agent, has all the 5 equivalent bonds. That's wrong. Exists as an ionic solid in which cation has octahedral structure and anion has tetrahedral structure. Again it's wrong, it's not of phosphorus pentachloride. On hydrolysis gives oxo acids of phosphorus, which is tribasic. So it should be option A or D. B and C are completely wrong in reference to phosphorus pentachloride. Phosphorus pentachloride is PCl5. Okay. So on hydrolysis and on hydrolysis. Now PCl5 on hydrolysis, what is formed? That is PCl5 with water, that is on hydrolysis it will form H3PO4 plus HCl. Of course I haven't balanced here, so this is how it goes. Now this is orthophosphoric acid. It is a tribasic acid. Do you all agree it's a tribasic acid? So it is option D. They have given oxo acid of phosphorus, which is tribasic. Next question. Identify the set of paramagnetic ions. Paramagnetic means there should be an unpaired electron, only then it will be paramagnetic. So we'll see which of the ions have unpaired electrons, or all the 3 should have unpaired electrons to be paramagnetic. So option 1, zinc in Zn2 state does not have unpaired electrons. So this is a wrong option. Titanium plus 3, copper plus 2 and Mn plus 2. This looks like the correct answer because titanium has in plus 3 state has 1 electron in the d orbital, plus 2 state has 1 electron in the d orbital which is unpaired. Mn plus 3 state we have 4 electrons which is unpaired. So this is the one which is right. We'll check the others why it is wrong. Here you can see scandium in plus 3 state does not have any electron in the d orbital, so it cannot be magnetic. So this is the wrong answer. Again, titanium in plus 4 state cannot have any electron in the d orbital. Now how do you actually remember this so quickly? How can you tell whether there is electron, unpaired electron or not? You have to just know that for 3D series you have argon 4s2 and 3D some number here, correct? They have some electron. Now scandium is 21, so 3D1. Titanium atomic number is 22, so 3D2. Except for chromium and copper, here what is the atomic number? That is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Except this, okay, 9 and we have chromium which is 24, and of course this is completely filled zinc, so we are not taking into consideration. Rest all 3D1, for titanium is 3D2, 3D3. Now if it is more than plus 2 state, the electrons are removed from the d orbital. If it is within plus 2 state, it is only s orbital, and this will be the same as that of the atomic number, the last number of the atomic number. So you have to just remember the atomic numbers and you can mentally calculate whether they have an unpaired electron in the d orbital. Okay, that's how you go and do it very quickly. The next question which we have: how many moles of acidified potassium dichromate is required to liberate 6 moles of iodine from the aqueous solution of iodide? So this is again which you have studied in your syllabus. You have also learned to write the equation, but then still I shall write it for you. Cr2O7 2 minus acidified, so I have H plus ion, I have iodide ions which is giving Cr plus 3 and it's giving H2O, and iodine is liberated. So if I balance this, I will get it as 14 and I'll get it as 6, here I'll get 7 and I'll get it as 3. So what do you get to know from here is that 1 mole gives me 3 moles of iodine, 1 mole of potassium dichromate gives me 3 moles of iodine is liberated, but I want 6 moles. So of course for 6 moles, how much it is? Double. It is, answer is 2. Okay, I hope you understood. It's just that you have to know the equation, then you can answer this within a minute. Next one, Cu2Cl2 and CuCl2 in aqueous medium. Stability of Cu2Cl2 is equal to the stability of CuCl2. Both are unstable. Cu2Cl2 is more stable than CuCl2. CuCl2 is more stable than Cu2Cl2. Okay, so here we are talking about stability. In this particular molecule, what is the oxidation state of copper? What do you think is the oxidation state of copper? It is in +1 state. Here it is in +2 state. Copper is in +2 state. Okay. Now, in aqueous medium is really very important here to talk about the stability. +1 state is stable or +2 state is stable. +1 state has got all completely filled d orbital, but +2 state has not got completely filled d orbital. It has short of 1 electron for the completely filled d orbital. So which do you think will be more stable? Because it is aqueous medium, Cu +2 state is more stable because of energy of hydration which is released. It's a high energy of hydration which is released, because of which it is very stable. Also it is chlorides which is formed. For chlorides and fluorides, the higher oxidation state metal, it will be more stable. So the answer is CuCl2 is more stable than Cu2Cl2. So where is the option? We have option D is the correct answer. Okay, it's all because of energy of hydration, delta H naught of hydration. Okay, so the next one, 32, the coordination number of Fe and Co in the complex is. So coordination number is how many coordinate bonds. Here it is a didentate ligand and you have 3. So 3 into 2, you have 6 coordination bonds, and here you have monodentate ligands, you have 4. So 4 coordination bond, it is 6 and 4. So the option is option C, 6 and 4. Next one, the number of stereoisomers exhibited by COEN twice Cl2 plus. So it is M LL B2 type. Okay, it is the type of the ligand for octahedral structure here. Okay, so here in this particular, how many stereoisomers are possible? Of course, here because you have 2 of the same kind and the other 2 are didentate ligand which is of the other kind, you can have cis and trans. So 2 isomers are possible. Out of cis and trans, cis can show even optical activity, that is they have dextrorotatory and levorotatory. Okay, so because of that, 2 plus 1 which will be equal to 3. 3 isomers are possible, stereoisomers are possible. If you want me to write the structures here, here you go. You have cobalt, it's an octahedral structure. 2 chlorine ligands or chlorido ligands are placed next to one another. Here you have next to one another, plus this is cis isomer, and I have my trans which I put it like this. Chlorine or chlorido, we write it opposite, and then you have En, ethane 1,2 diamine, and here you go, this is trans. Trans does not show optical activity. This will show optical activity, so it's mirror image if I write. So it will be cobalt 1 2 3 4 En, and then I have chlorine. Here I have a chlorine, and here I have my ethane 1,2 diamine, the mirror image. So totally how much do I have? 1 2 3. So it is 3 isomers. Fine, got it? Stereoisomers. Stereoisomers include geometrical isomerism as well as optical isomerism. Okay, so it is 2 plus 1, 3 isomers are possible. Next one, give the IUPAC name of exact question. I had solved it for you all in the class. See, first thing, you see the options here. Zero oxidation state for platinum is not possible here. Okay, so obviously B and D questions are options are wrong. So these two cannot be the right answer at any cost. Okay, so we have A and C, out of which cation you write the metal name, and for anionic complex you write the metal name ending with ATE. So if you know this, you can tick the correct answer. Tetraamine platinate 2 they have written. This platinate is wrong, it has to be platinum. So we'll see the next option. Obviously we have only one option left, it should be right. Okay, so tetraamine platinum 2 and tetrachlorido platinate 2 is the right answer. Okay, next question. Prolonged exposure of chloroform in humans may cause damage to liver. It is due to the formation of following compounds. Again, it is the fact, you had studied this in for your boards. So it is chloroform. Okay, what can it form? It will form phosgene gas, COCl2. It forms phosgene gas, which is very harmful for us. Okay, so it is phosgene is the correct answer, that is option A. Next one, which of the following halide shows highest reactivity towards SN1 reaction? Again, I had given you the direct order of the reactivity towards SN1 mechanism in your classes. So if you know that, you can directly choose the correct answer. Here you have CH3CH2Cl, it is a primary alkyl halide, again a primary alkyl halide, then you have chlorobenzene, and then you have C6H5CH2Cl. SN1 mechanism, what is very important? The stable carbocation. correct? And the stable carbocation can be formed by C6H5CH2Cl. That's why option D is the correct answer. Okay, the rest, first two options, it can not happen because it is primary alkyl halide which will undergo SN2 mechanism. Okay, next we have, in this particular reaction, the number of possible isomers of the organic compound X. So here what happens is, when CH3NH2 reacts with the Grignard reagent, that is, you have an alkyl group with MgBr, we call it as Grignard reagent. When it reacts in the presence of dry ether, because this is acidic hydrogen is present, you will get it as CH3C. I'm writing this structure, the bond line structure, I'm just writing it again. Okay, and you have CH, here you have CH2, for which this bond is broken and hydrogen is added up, you will get CH3. Fine. So this is the X structure. Which is this? This is isobutane. We can call it as isobutane, in which there are 4 carbon atoms. Okay. What is one more isomer which you can write? It is butane. CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. So how many isomers are possible? Is there any other way to write alkyl or an alkane which contains 4 carbon atoms? No. So obviously the number of isomers are 2 which are possible. Fine. Next one, which of the following on heating gives an ether as the major product? What you have to get as the major product? Ether. So it's Williamson's ether synthesis which you have to know very clearly. Okay, P can give ether, Q can give ether, but here ether is not formed, you get an alkene. Of course this also will not give ether. So P and Q will give ether, so it is option C, both P and Q is the correct answer. The steps involved in conversion of propane 2-ol to propan 1-ol. So you are supposed to change the position of the OH group, okay, from the second position, second carbon atom to the first carbon atom. So propane 2-ol you have to convert into propan 1-ol. So they have given you the series of reactions which can happen to convert this from propane 2-ol to propane 1-ol. So we'll just have a look at what is it and try to analyze and come to the correct answer. Heating with PCl5, heating with alcoholic KOH, acid catalyzed addition of water. See the option B, heating with PCl5, it is same. Okay, heating with alcoholic KOH, again it is same. Only the last step, it is hydroboration oxidation which is there given. Okay, now we'll see the other 2 options as well. They have given dehydration, addition of HBr in the presence of peroxide, that is against Markovnikov's rule, that is anti-Markovnikov's rule, and again heating it with alcoholic KOH. Okay, here they have given dehydration, first step is exactly same, addition of HBr but not anti-Markovnikov's rule, it is Markovnikov's rule itself, and heating with aqueous KOH. So which do you think can give us from 2 to 1 position of OH group can be changed? So let's see, first with heating with PCl5, I have CH3, CH, OH, CH3, correct? This is propan 2-ol. Now what I'm going to do here is, with PCl5, I'll get CH3, CH, Cl, CH3. Next what we are doing? Heating it with alcoholic KOH. So I'll just heat it with alcoholic KOH. Alcoholic KOH is elimination reaction. So chlorine and one of the hydrogen has to be removed to give the double bond. So I'll get CH3, CH, double bond, CH2. Correct? Now for this one, if I do acid catalyzed addition of water, again OH will come to the second carbon atom itself and I am going to get 2 propanol only. So obviously this is the wrong answer. I cannot give A as the correct answer. But if we do hydroboration oxidation, in hydroboration OH group is added. If you remember, That too, it is added to the first carbon atom itself. So you are going to get CH3, CH2, CHOH with option B as the correct answer. Okay. Now what happens with C and D if you want to know? First is dehydration. So I'm going to remove OH and one hydrogen atom, I'll get alkene. Okay. With alkene, when I'm adding HBr against Markovnikov's rule, that is anti-Markovnikov's rule, what will happen? HBr, this is what we are going to get in the first dehydration. Okay. So for this, if I am going to add HBr against Markovnikov's rule, bromine will get added up to the first one, correct? First one, bromine will get added up, hydrogen will get added up to the second carbon atom. Now, I'll get one bromopropane, but then again heating with alcoholic KOH, what happens? Again elimination is happening, again I'll get the same product. So I don't want the same product here. So this is the wrong answer. What happens with addition of HBr? Here, Markovnikov's rule. Bromine comes to the second carbon atom, and then heating with aqueous KOH, alcohol is coming again to the second carbon atom itself. So obviously, I want to change the position of OH group. So hydroboration is the correct option after you get an alkene. Okay, so it is option B is the right answer. Next one, which of the following is the strongest base? See, they have given series here. I have Cl minus, OH minus and CH3O minus and CH3COO minus. Now you have to tell me which is the strongest base here among these. If it is a strong base, its conjugate acid will be weak. So the acid of this is HCl, here it is H2O, then it is CH3OH, and then I have CH3COOH. Correct? So which is the weakest acid here? Of course it is alcohol. So its base, it's a conjugate acid, so the base will be strongest base. So it is CH3O minus.